The funfair was electric that night, alive with flashing lights, the blaring of carnival music, and the sound of laughter carried by the cool breeze. The air smelled of buttery popcorn, sugary cotton candy, fried onions from the hot dog and burger stalls and something faintly metallic from the rides. My friends and I had been looking forward to this night for weeks, a chance to cut loose and soak up the eerie charm of the traveling fair that only rolled into town once a year. The fairground stretched far, with spinning Ferris wheels, wobbly-looking roller coasters, and the shrill screams of riders echoing from the towering drop tower. We weaved through the crowd, dodging kids clutching oversized stuffed animals and parents wrangling toddlers with sticky hands. Brightly lit game booths lined the paths, each promising impossible victories. The air felt alive, buzzing with an energy I couldn't quite explain. We'd already hit a bunch of the big rides, the Black Hole, the bumper cars, and a terrifying coaster called the Sky Slicer. My stomach was still flipping from the relentless spinning, but the thrill was too addicting to stop. Then we saw it, the haunted house. It was nestled at the edge of the funfair, where the lights dimmed and the shadows stretched long. The building was made to look like a decrepit Victorian mansion, its windows blacked out and cobwebs draped across every surface. A pair of animatronic gargoyles flanked the entrance, their glowing red eyes following us as we approached. The sign above the entrance read, "Enter if you dare," in flickering neon. "This is gonna be lame," my friend Jake said, smirking. "Yeah, but it'll be fun lame," Kelsey shot back, grabbing his arm. I hesitated for a moment, a chill creeping up my spine as I stared at the darkened doorway. Something about the place felt wrong. The laughter and music from the rest of the fair seemed muffled here, like we'd stepped into a bubble. "You coming or what?" Mia asked, already buying our tickets. With a shrug, I followed them in. Inside, the air was damp and musty, and the faint smell of mildew clung to the walls. It was pitch black except for the occasional flashes of strobe lights. Every few feet, we were greeted by cheap animatronics, a skeleton that sprang from a coffin, a witch cackling over a bubbling cauldron. The floorboards creaked under our weight, and the sound echoed in the confined space. But as we moved deeper, the decorations grew more realistic. Blood-smeared walls, grotesque mannequins with hollow eyes, and an eerie soundtrack of whispers and groans. "Man, they really stepped up their game this year," Jake said, though his voice wavered slightly. "Yeah," Mia agreed, clutching my arm. "It's actually kinda creepy." The further we went, the more unsettling it became. The air grew colder, and a faint metallic smell, a little like rust, or blood, replaced the sweet aroma of carnival food. Shadows flickered in ways that didn't match the strobe lights, and the whispers seemed to come from all around us, growing louder and clearer. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, stopping in my tracks. "Hear what?" Kelsey asked, but her voice was tight. The sound came again, a faint, rasping breath, like someone exhaling just behind my ear. I spun around, but there was nothing. "Let's keep moving," Jake said quickly, pushing past me. We reached what looked like the final room, a long, narrow hallway lined with mirrors. Our reflections stared back at us, warped and distorted. The floor felt unsteady beneath our feet, shifting slightly with every step. "All right, this is officially creepy," Mia muttered. Then the lights went out. Pitch black. Someone screamed, "Kelsey, I think." I reached out blindly, my hand brushing against someone's shoulder. "Stay together," I yelled, my voice cracking. The mirrors flickered to life. One by one, they lit up, glowing faintly in the dark. But our reflections were gone. Instead, we saw other people. Pale, wide-eyed figures staring back at us from the glass. They wore tattered clothes, their faces frozen in expressions of fear and anguish. I felt my stomach drop. "What is this?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling. Jake moved closer to one of the mirrors, reaching out to touch it. His hand stopped just short of the glass, and for a moment, the figure inside mimicked his movements. Then it pressed its hand against the glass, matching his. Before anyone could react, the figure smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile, it was sharp and cruel, filled with malice. Then it moved. The figures began pounding on the glass, their mouths moving silently, their eyes locked on us. As they pounded on the mirrors, cracks appeared across them like spiderwebs, and the pounding grew louder and louder. "Run!" I shouted, grabbing Mia's hand and pulling her back toward the way we came. We stumbled through the dark, tripping over wires and props, the sound of shattering glass following us. I could hear the others close behind, their panicked breaths and hurried footsteps. When we finally burst through the exit, the night air hit me like a punch to the gut. I doubled over, gasping for breath. "What the hell was that?" Jake demanded, his face pale. No one answered. We just stared at each other, shaken and silent. As we walked back through the fairground, everything seemed off. The lights were dimmer, the music slower. The once crowded paths were nearly empty. We passed a group of fair workers huddled near a food stall. They watched us as we walked by, their faces expressionless. Then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. One of them was wearing a black hoodie, the same hoodie I'd seen on one of the figures in the mirrors. He smiled at me. Not a friendly smile. A sharp, cruel smile. The next morning, the funfair was gone. No rides, no stalls, no haunted house. Just an empty field, as if it had never been there at all. But when I looked in my bedroom mirror later that night, I saw something that stopped my heart. In the corner of the reflection, just behind me, was a pale figure with hollow eyes and a sharp, cruel smile. I did not want to turn around. I was frozen with fear. But what made it even more scary, the figure knew my name. And they said, "We're coming for you tonight." In that moment, I don't know why, I turned around, but I did. Nobody was there. So until this day I am still waiting for them to return. Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.